President and CEO of NJ Transit, Chris Calore. You'll hear from Chris in a minute. He will help explain the current status of negotiations and how we are stepping up to help New Jerseyans get where they need to go in the event of a strike. First, a little bit of context, if I may. Over the past several weeks and months, our entire administration, and especially Chris and his colleagues, have been working around the clock to avoid a strike and keep NJ Transit operating at full capacity. As always, our single highest priority is keeping the trains running and providing the best possible service to our state's commuters and taxpayers. Now, let me be absolutely clear. Here in New Jersey, we are honored to be the quintessential organized labor state. In our efforts to preserve that reputation, NJ Transit proposed an initial contract that was agreed upon by 14 of the agency's 15 labor unions. Every single one of them, except the Brotherhood of Locomotive Engineers and Trainmen, otherwise known as BLET. That overwhelming level of support from nearly all of the union workers employed by NJ Transit is as good an indication as any that it was a fair deal. And just last week, Chris and his team also signed a 4-year agreement that is consistent with the established pattern, and that's important, with the largest union at NJ Transit, the Amalgamated Transit Union. They represent, by the way, more than 5,500 NJ Transit employees. The point is, in terms of context, our administration has been working in good faith to provide the wages and benefits that our employees at NJ Transit deserve. And I'll be the first to acknowledge that all of the agency's employees, including our locomotive engineers, are the backbone of New Jersey's public transit system. But the workers and families who rely on our transit system every single day are the backbone of our entire economy. And any possibility of abandoning these workers and families, our neighbors indeed, at the last minute would be completely unacceptable and unjustifiable. Now, I don't want to get ahead of Chris or his colleagues who are working and still are working 24/7 to reach a resolution. But I will say this, like many mass transit systems across the nation, NJ Transit is facing a sobering fiscal reality. That is a challenge we must balance with paying our engineers and every NJ Transit worker what they deserve. In that spirit, back in March, Chris and the BLET's representatives shook hands on a contract that would pay engineers the same hourly wage, give or take literally 10 cents an hour, as engineers with the Long Island Railroad. In other words, it would have given their members almost exactly what they have asked for, being paid the same wage as engineers at other transit systems in our region. And crucially, that contract would have provided our engineers their hard-earned raises without blowing up NJ Transit's budget. Indeed, at the time, BLET's general chairman, Tom Hass, even called it, and I quote him, a fair and fiscally responsible, quote, contract. So while the BLET's members ultimately rejected that agreement, this much is without dispute. We must reach a final deal that is both fair to employees and at the same time affordable for New Jersey's commuters and taxpayers. Again, we cannot ignore the agency's fiscal realities, because you want to know what would happen if we did. Just look across the Delaware River and see what's happening with SEPTA. Due to the agency's ongoing fiscal challenges, officials in Pennsylvania are now talking about cutting SEPTA services by 45%, while at the same time also hiking fares by 20%. Can you imagine that here? Reduced services at a higher cost. That is not something the people of New Jersey can afford. Our administration has worked relentlessly to put NJ Transit on stable fiscal footing. Doing so has required some really tough calls and compromises from all of us, lawmakers, workers, employees, employers paying the corporate transit fee, and especially our commuters and taxpayers. So now we need the members of the BLET to step up and meet their obligations for the people of New Jersey. Let's get back to the table and seal a deal. And let's move forward on meeting our most important responsibility of all, serving the needs of New Jerseyans who rely on NJ Transit. With that, I'd like to turn the podium over to Chris, who can share specifics on the steps he and his team are taking to help the people of New Jersey get where they need to go in the event, especially in the event of a strike. Thank you. Chris, over to you.
Thank you, Governor, and thank you for your leadership and your trust in the agency to make sure we carry out our mission to make sure that the 350,000 daily riders get from their place of home to work and back safely and efficiently. That has been our mission since the first day. It'll be our mission till the very last day of this administration, and I'm sure beyond. For those of you who have heard me speak on this subject in the last several weeks, I've said, thanks to Governor Murphy's guiding principle, that any deal we strike must be fair and fiscally responsible. It is not an either-or. It is a conjunctive. They both have to be met. And that is the spirit in which I've approached these negotiations from the very start, going back to my first week on the job. As early as this past Monday, we were invited by the National Mediation Board. Both parties voluntarily appeared in front of the board, precisely with the intention of reaching this fair and fiscally responsible deal. In fact, I said so much to the board when I met them. I said, that is the only thing that matters in these negotiations. So what has happened since? I want to credit the General Chairman where credit is due. The last 4 days, we worked tirelessly together to try and figure out whether we can reach precisely this deal. It shouldn't be that hard because we did it once. And we did it once in just over a few weeks. And that is after this particular union has been fighting with New Jersey Transit for well over 7 years. So we certainly, I thought...
All right, we've been listening in to New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy and the President and CEO of New Jersey Transit, Chris Calore, and still no deal.